From Synozur, this is Polaris. I'm Chris McNulty. The AI market is tremendous. The gap between leaders and everyone else, even bigger. In 2024, we took a look at the state of AI and made predictions about where it was all headed. We called out trends that led to the creation of MCP and A to A for agents, the concern about power usage, and the rise of agents interacting with the human workforce. Today, we'll take a broader look at the size and growth of the global AI business, which companies and regions are pulling ahead, and what to expect for the rest of 2026. This is Polaris. Welcome to Polaris Pulse. I'm your host, Chris McNulty, Chief Technology Officer at Synozur. Synozur, the transformation company, reimagines business for our clients, navigating strategies and leadership culture with ease. What's a pulse? Well, it's a shorter episode of Polaris we do to focus on a single topic. So today, we're taking a look at the Synozur 2026 AI report. You can get your own copy at aka.synozur.com/AI26, or you can just sit back, relax, and listen to the next 15 minutes. A little background on this process. In 2024, Katya Lenosi, the CEO at Clear People and a friend of the program, asked us to submit predictions for the knowledge and AI market in 2025. We suggested a few, and most of them turned out to be right. Along the way last year, our CEO, Michelle Caldwell, did a ton of analysis on different playbooks for rolling AI out at the enterprise level, which led to the creation of the Synozur AI maturity model. In the second half of the year, we published that on Orion, our free online digital maturity model platform. As a result, we've had over 140 organizations work with us at where they are on the evolution curve for their use of AI. Along with that, as an expansion of the research that we did last year on the growth of the content management market, we decided to go even deeper and analyze the global AI market. So those three things, our predictions, the size of the market, and what's happening with AI maturity around the world are the nucleus of our AI report. We'll go through that in more detail shortly, but first, let's define our terms and our data points. As usual, our reading list and references will be included in the show notes. Global AI spending is now forecast to surpass record levels. 72% of organizations have at least one mission-critical AI workload in production. That's triple what it was just a few years ago, according to McKinsey. And yet, despite all of that, only a quarter of companies have moved 40% or more of their AI pilots into production, according to Deloitte, as released at Davos in January. The ambition is there, but the execution gap remains real. This next news item literally broke this morning. Microsoft announced a major internal restructuring of the Copilot organization, unifying consumer and commercial AI under four new pillars: Copilot Experience, Platform, M365 apps, and AI models. Jacob Andreou has been named EVP of Copilot, reporting directly to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. As Satya himself said, this is how we move from a collection of great products to a truly integrated system. We'll talk about why that matters in the context of our report in just a minute. Finally, new research from the Quantum Institute analyzed 847 publicly traded companies. They found that AI mature organizations now achieve operating margins 47% higher than their early stage peers. That's up from 21% just a few months back. AI mature firms are also growing revenue 2.3x faster. That's not a trend, that's a structural shift. And it lines up exactly with what we found in our own research. Okay, enough of the headlines. It's time for the AI report. Let's go. So the first topic we cover in this year's AI report is the size of the market. The global AI market ranges from $244 billion to over $2 trillion this year, depending on exactly how you define it. Does hardware count, devices, or just software and services? At Synozur, we took a look at all of those forecasts. We applied our own algorithms and our own forecasts along with weighted averages to project this year the market will reach $453 billion, growing to $944 billion by 2030. We built this by normalizing projections from Gartner, IDC, Precedence, Fortune, Grandview Research, and others. North America holds about 36% of global AI spend. The US alone is projected at $201 billion this year, but Asia Pacific could surpass North America by the early 2030s. $1 trillion is coming, but the question is, who's going to capture it? The second area is who's benefiting from all that spend. We analyzed over 125 organizations using our AI maturity model. It's a CMMI-based 500-port framework that Michelle developed last year, synthesizing research from 17 leading advisory firms along with Synozur. The average score, 260 out of 500, squarely in the developing tier. So, on average, organizations are moving beyond experimentation, but they're not yet scaled. The spread is the real story. Scores range from 100 to 500, a more than 250-point gap between leaders and laggards. Who's winning? Professional services and small companies. They average in the 300s. They're agile and knowledge-centric. Who struggles? Mid-market firms, typically in the 100s. Physical industries like agriculture and manufacturing also trail. Which sections of AI maturity are the weakest? Probably use case integration and the cultural elements. Those are the things that you need to be able to take success beyond a pilot. I also thought it was fascinating to look at how Europe compares with North America. Now, North America generally leads. However, European firms score higher on governance and talent. Where they fall behind, the strengths in North America are strategy and use case integration. Fundamentally, we see strength in compliance, but gaps in execution, and it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out in 2026. Finally, let's take a look at our predictions. So for 2025, I'll give us 2 out of 3. At the start of last year, we talked about how the need to integrate multiple platforms would lead to success for what we called omni AI, better ways of connecting content sources to AI and AI agents to each other. And that's exactly what happened last year. We saw the rise of Model Control Protocol, MCP, which is a unified way of being able to address any content or data source from an agent. We also saw A2A, which is a protocol that allows agents to speak to each other. Our second prediction was a focus on green AI. Concerns about the power use of AI dominated last year. How much power are we using? In rough terms, about 600 terawatt hours. That's enough to power 55 million homes, or the energy demands of over 200 million people on average. A single large AI-focused data center takes as much electricity as 100,000 households. So the need to find carbon neutral, environmentally friendly sources of energy led to an awful lot of deal making in 2025, as we predicted. Finally, our third prediction last year was that the rise of agents would lead to massive workforce anxiety. And although it definitely was a topic of conversation, in 2025, we didn't see the kinds of job displacement that would lead to massive anxiety, although it was a topic of conversation in many organizations at the water cooler. Okay, that's last year. So in October 2025, once again in concert with Clear People, we sat down to write down our 3 predictions for AI this year. Let's take a look. First, over the past several months, we've seen model choice rise to the forefront of business decision-making. Microsoft has increasingly integrated Anthropic models like Claude Sonnet and Opus directly into Copilot and Copilot Studio alongside the GPT-5 models from OpenAI. Where's this going? Well, we predict that by June of 2026, Microsoft will introduce its own first-party LLM, especially tuned to the needs of business and commercial users. This is a natural extension of what we think has been going on. One size fits all for all AI uses is not the best way to go. What matters? The best model for the best job. Our second prediction. Last year, we started hearing about frontier firms predicting that in the future, we would all become agent bosses, supervising the work of multiple digital employees. What does that really look like now? Well, unfortunately, most of the integration as people move from agent to agent to agent is cut and paste. If you're jumping between Copilot, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Replit, Notebook LM, Gemini, and more, that's a really messy process. So we predict a new class of applications extending the A2A protocols that lets business users look at agents in one dashboard without IT involvement. Of course, unified management of agents for security and performance is an essential task for IT. That's part of why Microsoft has rolled out Agent 365. But we're talking about something different here. We're looking at the business outputs, the quality and the performance, so that over time you can look at how your agents are performing from a business perspective. Which ones are the quickest? Which ones are the most accurate? Where can you get the best forecasts? Which ones are generating the best quality documentation? All this is essential for a business user. If you're going to supervise dozens and dozens of agents, you need one place to do that from. I expect at least one of the major collaboration players like Microsoft or Google to make a big inroad here, along with emerging players whose names are still unknown. Our last prediction is about the regulatory market. Although the EU has been moving forward with regulations, AI regulation has been largely hands-off in the United States. What's going to happen as a result? Professional associations need to fill the gap. We expect legal, accounting, and healthcare associations to lead their own credentialing, their own standards, and their own guidelines well before Washington takes the lead. We expect those organizations to set a pattern that will be the blueprint for future regulations in 2027 and beyond. So, that's a quick guide to the 2026 Synozur AI report. You can download your own copy at aka.synozur.com/AI26. And if you're interested in assessing how you are doing with your own organizational maturity model, you can see that at aka.synozur.com/AIMN. We'll be right back. Up next on Polaris, events. 2026 is already a busy year for events. Here's what we're watching. The M365 Community Conference, April 21st to 23rd at the Lowe's Sapphire Falls in Orlando, Florida. Jeff Teeper will kick off a stellar lineup of speakers from Microsoft and the community, including me and many others from Synozur as well. The AI-IM Summit, April 28th to 30th. This will be the Hyatt Regency. The AI-IM Summit. This will be April 28th to 30th at the Hyatt Regency Inner Harbor in Baltimore, Maryland. AIM, the Association for Intelligent Information Management, is the leading vendor-neutral organization looking at AI and information management challenges for practitioners around the world. I'm proud to be a board member. I'm proud to be attending the summit, and we hope we'll see you there too. Finally, TechCon 365 Chicago. This will be June 15th to 19th at McCormick Place by the lake. Synozur will be speaking there, along with many of our friends and colleagues from Microsoft and the rest of the community. We're looking forward to seeing you at one of these events. We'll have details on all that and more in our show notes and the Synozur blog. You can learn more at synozur.com/events, and we'll add more events throughout the year. And if you have an upcoming event you'd like us to promote on Polaris, please get in touch and we'd be happy to include it. Next time on Polaris, I'll be sitting down with Andrew Conlon, known around the world as a pioneer in software development best practices for SharePoint and for Microsoft. We'll be taking a look at AI-assisted software development, vibe coding, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It'll be a spirited discussion about how vibe coding is changing expectations for software purchase, investment decisions, timelines, and business leadership. I've produced almost 1 million lines of code in the past 12 months with help from AI, so don't miss this. Well, that's a wrap for another episode. I'd like to thank you for spending your time with us today. We encourage you to check out our show page for links to everything we talked about today and more. Visit us at polaris.synozur.com. Send us your questions and feedback for the Synozur team. You can reach us via email at polaris@synozur.com. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and tell all your friends about the show. And follow us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Polaris is produced with help from Riverside FM. Our theme song, Alternative Dream, is provided courtesy of Adobe. Additional music and sound provided by Indie Guy Records. Graphic design by Josh Brantley. Thanks for listening. I'm Chris McNulty, and this has been Polaris, a show that charts the course for business and technology transformation from Synozur. Learn more at Synozur.com. See you next time. Keep following your North Star.